Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another Kickstarter preview, and today we're talking about Four Horsemen. Now, this is a game that has just been living up to its name with me. I have had more issues in trying to get this video recorded than any I can remember. The first one was, now I've had this prototype for a while, and the first one was, I was ready to go, getting ready to do it, and I wound up cutting my hand, cutting my finger, and I was just out for a while. I couldn't do all the stuff I wanted to do. Okay, fine. Then I came back, I healed, I was ready to go, and I recorded a bunch of stuff again, and the footage just didn't work. I don't know how to describe it. It just literally, I had just digital mishmash. So, fine. Set up to record again. Went through it again. And I didn't plug in the mic. So I didn't have the audio. Or I did, but it was really, really bad audio. And I just, one thing after the next here. So we're shifting to the mini preview here. And I think it's okay because I'm still going to be able to give you my thoughts and all of that. So what this game is this is a crisis management deck building style game, though I'm going to come back to that word deck building in a bit, where you are taking on the role of a hero from some pantheon. And in the core game, you get the Judeo-Christian pantheon, so basically you're going to be playing angels of various forms, maybe you're Michael or you're Raphael or whatever, or you're playing heroes from the Greek pantheon, so your Achilles or your Hercules or something like that. And then there is also going to be a Viking pantheon, a Norse pantheon as well you're going to be able to play. And each of those is going to change the different relics or cards you're going to be able to buy, see deck building, in the game each round, and different heroes can use cards from their specific pantheon. Other heroes can still use those cards, but there's some penalties involved with taking those and using those. At the same time, you have the Four Horsemen, the eponymous Four Horsemen, that are slowly moving in towards the middle of their board, and if they get there, then the game's going to end. However, that's not all, because even though the game is called Four Horsemen, you're not actually fighting directly against the Four Horsemen, you're fighting against some other demonic entity that's destroying the world, malaise being one of them. And the Four Horsemen are moving around causing chaos. As they're causing chaos, you're actually trying to stop malaise, which is doing whatever it's doing. And again, there are other than malaise. And the various demons that are popping up on the continents all over the world. And so you will be moving your hero figure around the board to the different continents where you're going to be trying to deal with the demons that are there. Because if there's ever too many demons there, you lose the game instantly. At the same time, every round there's going to be some kind of event that's going to flip out. And there could be 3 events out there at a time, because if you don't stop one, which is pay some kind of cost, then it's going to progressively get worse and worse. And if you don't solve it, it stays out on the board, so progressively they get worse and worse, and you have progressively more and more of these bad things happening to you if you don't choose to manage them. Which is kind of the choice, because if you're spending all your resources doing that, you're not spending your resources stopping the demons, or you're not spending your resources beating malaise, or you're not spending your resources pushing those Four Horsemen back on their tracks towards the middle. And as all of these things are happening, as demons are getting summoned out onto the board, as the Horsemen are moving closer and closer towards their in-game spot, bad things will be happening as well. You move the Horsemen over and cover a certain spot, bad things are going to happen. You put demons out around North America, they get high enough up on their little track, bad things are going to happen, and so on and so on. So you are moving your heroes around the board to the different continents, and you are managing the demons. You are getting the resources that you might need so you can buy a card, because you gotta buy a card every turn, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Well, it's in the rules, but I'll tell you why in just a moment. And you are trying to make sure those horsemen don't get too far into the middle, while getting the resources to stop the events as they come out. So as you can see, very much crisis management style game. Now, I said this is a deck builder, and I said I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because it's not really a deck builder, it is a deck management game. What you're going to be doing is you are always going to have the same number of cards, because every round you're going to play 4 of the cards out of your hand. And you're going to put 2 down, and you're going to get the boon action on the cards. Because all the cards are multi-effect cards. You can put them in the boon, you can put them in the use, or you can put them in the sacrifice spot on your board. You get 2 boons, 1 use, and 1 sacrifice. And once everyone's picked all 4 of their cards, you go around and each player is going to activate one of them. The boon and the use, you'll simply discard that card. However, that 1 sacrifice that you do will go out of the game. And then at the end of the round, you will then buy another card. You gotta buy a card, because if you don't, you're gonna run out of cards. So you're actually really keeping your deck static as you go, with figuring out which cards you're willing to get rid of to then replace with something else. And you're going to play over, and you're going to play through the game, going around and around. Once everyone plays all 4 of their cards, a new round will start, a new event will come out, and so on and so on. And along with that, as you're playing, you have powers that you're going to unlock. And you're going to unlock these powers as you gain more corruption into your divinity. As you get more corruption, you get more powers you can use. I'm not quite sure how that works, but the more corrupt you are, the less divine you are, the more powers you're able to use. Maybe it's desperation, I don't know. And you're able to use those whenever you want, on other people's turns, on your turns, as you're trying to manage this crisis that is happening. Now, again, I wish I could show you all of that, but I just can't get the footage. It's just not happening. But what do I like about this game? So the first thing that I like is I really do like the deck management aspect of it. If you've watched the channel enough, you know that I'm not always the biggest fan of just deck building as a main component. But in this case, this deck management, I actually really like that, because you're making a hard choice every single turn about what to sacrifice, what to lose. And I really, really like that. One, because it means when you get a new card, you're going to be cycling it through your deck. It's going to happen relatively quickly, because your deck's never getting any bigger. So I like that a lot. I like the way that works. And I really like, as I said, it's always a hard choice to make. The next thing I like is you have to interact with the other players around the board. You have to work together. You have to say, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to pull these demons here, then I'm going to push these demons off this continent to the continent where you are, because you're going to activate your divine power, which is going to kill those demons, because if we don't, we're going to have more than 10 at the end of the round, and we're automatically going to lose. Or I'm going to do this, which is going to give you access to whatever. I'm going to push this horseman back, because we know it's going to move forward again, and so on and so on. And that table talk that you have to have, I think, works exceedingly well in this case. Next thing I'll say is, I think the different characters, the powers that they have, and the way they work, along with the different pantheons and the different things that they bring into the mix, is pretty darn good. I like it. They feel different. It makes it to where I want to play again against the same boss, just the different character combination. I think that works really, really well. And the last thing I'll say is, I think the core of this game is that crisis management style game, which I really like. I love that you're putting out all the little fires so you can accomplish the one goal. You're going to time this thing out. You're going to get to the end and have the objective for that specific boss accomplished so you can beat it. I really like that. Along with that, there's a bunch of different options that are out there. I've said malaise a couple times. I said the first one that you fight, at least it's recommended the first one that you fight. And they all are significantly different. So each different boss that you fight feels different. So as I said, you can get a very different experience if you're using different characters and the same boss. You can be the same characters, have a different boss, and again, it's going to be a very different experience, and I like that a lot. Finally, I'll say there is so much potential here. There's so much potential for more heroes, more monsters down the road, and that to me is exciting. So, what are my quibbles with the game? Well, the first one is, while I just said that there's so many different factions that we could have, I'm a little disappointed with the ones that already exist. They're the ones that always exist. We have the Greeks, we have the Vikings, and we have the Judeo-Christian religion. And I just wish that this had expanded more. Give me something out of Africa. I mean, the whole continent. Just pick a spot, right? Something out of the far Eastern Asia, something out of Southern Asia, just all these places that we don't always talk about. This is a game that is ripe to have that brought to the forefront, and the amazing, awesome stories and heritage and mythology and lore and culture from all these places that we don't always see. I think it's a little bit of a miss, and I hope down the road that will be something that's brought to the fore. And I'm not saying put ninjas in, okay? I know that's always the next thing people do. Let's dig deeper. Let's get something, to me, more interesting. The next one I'll say is, it does kind of sprawl a little bit. It's surprising how much space this game takes up on the table. And so it'll fit on a human-sized table, but I think we're starting to kind of push the boundaries of what you might expect this game to be as far as size-wise. And the last thing I'll say is, while there are differences depending on which boss you are facing, which entity you are dealing with, I wish there was a little more going on with, I'm calling it the demon board, where you have the demons on the different continents. It's interesting, and it's a good puzzle, but I just wish there was a little more meat to that part of the game. But that's really it. I think this is a game that is very interesting. I think it really hits a sweet spot in that crisis management style game. I think the deck management, as opposed to the deck building, is very interesting. It gets the fun parts, I think, of deck building, but those hard choices that you have to make by always sacrificing something. I think the way the powers interact is very fun. And I think this is something that if you like crisis management style games, and if you like the sound of this deck management versus deck building type thing, this is a game that you should absolutely check out, because I enjoyed my time playing it, and it's one that I would absolutely play again just about any time somebody wanted. So there you have it, folks. That is 4 Horsemen. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.